There's a cosmic law no one escapes. What you throw out into the world finds its way back. The universe doesn't miss. It simply waits. Every thorn they tossed in your path, it bloomed into your breakthrough. Every time they tried to trip you, they taught you how to fly. That's the irony they never saw coming. Chosen ones, you were never chaos. They just weren't ready for your order. While they whispered in shadows trying to dim your shine, the universe adjusted itself to spotlight you even more. This is the balance they forgot about. The universal law that doesn't play favorites. You rise not in spite of the war, but because of it. Those who tried to pull you down are now haunted by what they couldn't destroy. They watch you glow and wonder how their sabotage became your staircase. It's not luck, it's alignment. You were never meant to break. You were meant to be built in silence and revealed in storms. Let this be the reminder. A fire never fears the wind, it feeds on it. So if you're feeling this truth in your bones, like and subscribe right now, because this message is yours. You were never just another person. You were the shift they didn't prepare for. Your presence was a mirror, showing them everything they lacked. And now, you've become the storm their peace can't outrun. You are the cosmic consequence they never saw coming. Now let's talk about what that kind of power really does to people who tried to bury you. This isn't random. This level of betrayal, this level of regret chasing behind you, it only happens to the chosen. Ordinary people wouldn't understand because they were never built to carry this kind of light. If your soul is resonating right now, stay with me till the end. This message was crafted for you and only you. Number 1, don't be fooled by regret. It's not a ticket back in. Their absence is not just quiet, it's echoing. A silence so loud it haunts them. That's what happens when you take for granted the one force that held your world together. Drop a 77 in the comments if you've ever felt the shift, the sudden pullback of your energy and how it flipped everything for the better. And to those who continue supporting this message, especially through super thanks, your presence fuels this awakening. You are not alone in this. You are part of something massive, a global shift. The chosen are remembering who they are. But let's get real. Should you let them back in? That's the question lingering in the air. Are they truly sorry, or are they just craving the comfort that your energy used to give them? Is it you they miss, or is it what you gave? The healing, the support, the safety net they never earned. You see, when people lose access to real power, they don't grieve the person, they grieve the privilege. And that's what your presence was. A privilege, not a right. They didn't just lose a friend or a partner or someone to lean on. They lost the one person who stabilized their chaos, the one who stood firm when everything else was collapsing. You were the light they walked toward when everything else went dark. But they didn't see you. They saw convenience. They saw someone to drain, not someone to cherish. And here's the irony. The more they used you, the more powerful you became. The universe was taking notes. Every unspoken betrayal, every silent sacrifice you made, it all stacked up in your favor. While they played games, you built foundation. While they chose comfort, you chose growth. And now, they're locked outside the gates of a life they were never willing to help you build. They thought you'd always be there. They believed your loyalty was automatic, that your kindness would never run dry. They never imagined a day where the well would stop pouring, the light would turn, and your energy would no longer be available. But that day came, and now, they're in a storm of their own making, staring at the space where you once stood, wondering how they let the rarest thing slip right through their fingers. So ask yourself this. Do you let a taker return to the table they never helped set? Do you reopen the door to someone who only values the light when it's gone? Or do you rise, chosen one, and leave them to feel the weight of everything they threw away. Because the truth is, they didn't lose a person, they lost their anchor. And only you know how deep that cut goes. Number 2, stop giving VIP access to people who treated you like background noise. Chosen ones, let's make one thing clear. Access to you is not free, it's not casual, and it should never be handed out like candy to people who once acted like you were invisible. There was a time when they treated your presence like background noise, tuning you out, talking over your value, acting like your energy was just something they were owed. But now that the music stopped, they're realizing what filled the room wasn't noise, it was power. It was light. It was you. They didn't see you because they didn't know how to recognize depth in a world that chases distractions. You were never meant to be an echo in someone else's life, you were the main signal. You weren't just available, you were essential. But they only understood that after they lost access. And here's where most people fall. They confuse someone's regret with someone's worth. They hear the knock on the door and think it means the person changed. But all it really means is their comfort is gone. And now they want to come back to the same seat they once abandoned without hesitation. But this isn't a revolving door. If they couldn't hear your value when it was whispering, they don't deserve to stand near it now that it's roaring. You don't reward silence with access. You don't honor neglect with another chance. And you definitely don't re-invite someone who only shows up when your light becomes too loud to ignore. You are not for everybody. Your energy isn't for mass consumption. Your space, your time, your loyalty, those are reserved for people who understand the weight of being near you. Because once you give a fool a front row seat, don't be surprised when they try to direct the show. So protect your stage, protect your light, and remember, just because they finally notice the volume doesn't mean they ever understood the message. Let them watch from a distance where the background belongs. Number 3. If there's no real change, their apology is just strategy. A sorry without transformation is just another chess move. It's not healing, it's strategy. And you, chosen one, are not a piece on anyone's board. When people realize they've lost access to you, the first weapon they reach for is the apology. Polished, rehearsed, dipped in nostalgia. But pay attention. It's not rooted in change, it's rooted in loss. They're not sorry for the way they mishandled you. They're sorry that their supply is gone, that your light has moved on, that their emotional convenience has expired. Real remorse demands accountability. It walks with consistency, not performance. But many will perform if it means getting their benefits back. That's what you must understand. They're not knocking because they've evolved. They're knocking because they're cold and they remember how warm it used to be when you were around. This isn't an apology, it's a strategy to get back in. They'll say they've changed. They'll use the same words that once made you believe in their potential. But words are weightless when they carry no proof. Watch what they do, not what they say. Chosen ones move through life with clarity, and clarity cuts through sweet talk like glass. This is how many fall back into old traps, believing words without evidence, mistaking guilt for growth. But you've outgrown that cycle. This time, you're not interested in what they say they'll do. You're watching what they actually build when you're not around. Because if someone only changes when they've lost access, then it was never change. It was manipulation dressed in apology. You are not the rehab center for broken patterns. You are the mirror, the one who made them confront their own lack. That's why they want back in, not because they miss you, but because you made them feel whole without asking them to become whole themselves. So keep your energy guarded, keep your peace close. If there's no change in their character, then their apology is just a strategy, and your silence is the checkmate. Number 4, don't mistake missing the perks for missing the person. Just because they come back with sad eyes and soft words doesn't mean they miss you. Read that again. What they're really mourning isn't your presence. It's the comfort, the protection, the constant emotional rescue you gave without hesitation. You became their refuge, their security blanket, their one guaranteed source of warmth. But now that it's gone, they're starting to shiver in the same cold they once threw you into. Chosen one, never confuse their hunger for your light with genuine love. When you were around, they feasted without gratitude. They were full, so full they forgot where the food came from. And now they're starving. But they don't want to feed you. They just want to eat again. That's not love, that's survival. That's dependency wrapped in manipulation. They miss the perks. How you kept them calm when their mind was a storm. How you showed up without being asked. How you covered for their flaws, their failures, their chaos. But when you needed the same support, they vanished. Because it was never about you. It was always about what they could take. And now that the energy well has dried up, they return. Not because they've changed, but because they want the faucet turned back on. Don't let desperation dress up as devotion. Don't let regret disguise itself as growth. If they truly missed you, they would have treated you better when they had you. If they valued you, they wouldn't have drained you dry. People rarely cry over what they love. They cry over what they lost control of. You were their access to peace, clarity, consistency, the very things they couldn't give themselves. So now they chase you not out of love, but out of fear. Fear that they'll never find that level of comfort again. Fear that you were the only person who ever truly saw them and still showed up. But now the game is over. You see the truth. And once the chosen one sees the truth, there's no going back. Let them miss what they mistreated. Let them mourn what they misused. Because you're not returning. You were the blessing, and blessings don't chase after those who couldn't hold them. Number 5, let your light burn bright, but keep it out of their reach. They thought your light was for everyone, that just because you shined effortlessly, it meant they could bask in it whenever they wanted. But here's the truth, your light was never free. It came at a cost only you paid. And while you were out there healing, helping, and holding people together, they were getting comfortable in your glow, forgetting that even stars have boundaries. Chosen one, you didn't just walk into their life, you shifted it. Your presence wasn't background noise, it was the frequency that made everything else make sense. But they mistook your calm for weakness, and your shine for something they could dim or control. They thought they could get close, drain your energy, and walk away untouched. They didn't realize that trying to dim a fire like yours only gets you burned. And now they're left in the cold, looking for that same warmth in places that only remind them of what they lost. But here's where the game changes. You don't go back. You don't hand over your flame to those who never protected it. Your light was not meant to warm those who left you out in the cold. So let your glow blind them. Let your peace disrupt their chaos. Let the life you're building serve as the reminder they can never access that version of you again. The same ones who called you too much are now begging for just a little bit of your presence. But chosen ones, you don't reduce your power to comfort those who once mishandled it. You're not just a light in the dark, you are the sun after the storm. And if they couldn't handle you then, they sure as hell don't deserve access to you now. Keep your light sacred. Protect it like the rare energy it is. Not everyone is worthy of standing in your brilliance. Let them squint from a distance. Let them wonder. Let them regret. Keep your light burning, but far out of reach. Write this in the comments, chosen ones. My light is not for the ungrateful. And if this hit you where it needed to, like the video and subscribe. We're just getting started. Number 6. Desperation isn't growth. It's just another manipulation. Let's stop romanticizing their return. The tears, the apologies, the "I finally see your worth now" speeches. That's not growth. That's a reaction, a performance, a last-ditch attempt to regain access to a life they once fed off of without ever contributing to. Chosen ones, you must understand, when you pulled your energy back, it exposed the vacuum they'd been hiding behind. You were the source, the center, the structure, and now that you're gone, their world is shaking. But here's the trap. They don't come back because they've elevated, they come back because they've collapsed. Their desperation isn't proof they've changed, it's proof that they're struggling without you. That's not love, that's survival, and you were never meant to be someone's emotional crutch while they avoided their own growth. When someone truly evolves, they don't return begging, they return better with actions, with consistency, with accountability. But what you'll notice is, when it's manipulation dressed as maturity, the pattern stays the same. Big words, small follow-through. They're not haunted by guilt, they're haunted by what they lost. Desperation is their attempt to trigger your empathy, to make you doubt your boundaries, to make you question your power. It's a subtle tactic designed to pull you back into the old cycle where you save them, fix them, carry them. But chosen ones, you are not their rehab. You are not their soft landing. You are not the remedy for someone who refused to heal when they had you. And here's the harshest truth. If someone only realizes your value when you're gone, it means they never truly valued you. They only valued what you did for them. So, don't let their panic shake your peace. Don't confuse urgency with transformation, because when someone wants to change for real, they don't rush. They build. They rise. They meet you on higher ground. But those who beg for access without proving their evolution, that's not healing. That's strategy. And your power, chosen one, is seeing through the performance and never handing your light back to those who only want to use it to escape their darkness. Your peace is not for rent. Let them learn the hard way. Number 7. If they couldn't honor you then, don't let them haunt you now. There's something dangerous about people who mishandle you in peace and then chase you in chaos. If they couldn't honor you when they had you, what exactly do they think they're entitled to now? Respect isn't retroactive. You don't get to dishonor gold and then beg for its glow when your world turns dark. But this is the haunting they now face, the shadow of everything they disrespected, now shining without them. Chosen ones, you were not overlooked. You were undervalued on purpose, because honoring you would have meant admitting they were never worthy of your presence to begin with. So they pretended not to see your worth, hoping you wouldn't either. That was the trick, to keep you second-guessing your power so they could keep feeding off it. But the moment you woke up, everything shifted. And now they can't stop circling the space you used to fill, haunted not by your ghost, but by their own guilt. Here's the raw truth. People don't regret hurting you, they regret losing access to the version of you that tolerated it. So now they'll resurface, with vague apologies, with nostalgic memories, with flattery dressed as remorse. But don't fall for the echo. The pain they feel is not about love, it's about loss, not of you as a soul, but of you as a resource. And you've evolved. You've rebuilt. You've become unrecognizable to the version of them that took you for granted. That's why you don't let them back in. That's why you lock the door with every boundary they once ignored. Because honoring yourself means not allowing a ghost to take up space in a house you've renovated from the ground up. Let them linger in their own regrets. Let them feel the silence. Let the memory of your energy keep them up at night. That's not your burden to fix. That's their consequence to live with. You were never meant to be a revolving door. They had their turn. You are the one who got away. You are the lesson they weren't ready to learn. And now your absence teaches what your presence once protected. Let them be haunted, but never again let them in. Number 8. You weren't chosen to be a crutch. Let them walk alone. There comes a point where you have to realize you weren't chosen to carry people who refuse to move. You weren't placed in their life to be a permanent crutch, a solution to their laziness, or a rescue mission for their chaos. You were the light, yes, but you were never meant to become their flashlight. Some people don't want healing. They want access. They want your energy on demand, your mind as their backup plan, and your spirit as their safety net. They don't want to grow with you. They want to lean on you forever while they stay in one place. And when you finally pull your energy back, they call you selfish. But let's be honest. What's more selfish than asking someone to bleed just so you can breathe? You've been the one holding things up for far too long, the one who carried both your weight and theirs. You were the structure they leaned on when their own foundation was crumbling. But did they ever ask if you were okay? Did they ever check if the one who was holding them up had someone holding you? That's the pattern you need to break now. You were chosen to lead, not to be leaned on. It's not your job to teach them how to walk when they're committed to crawling. It's not your burden to constantly fix the messes they never try to clean. The truth is, they don't want to change. They just want you close enough to keep doing the emotional labor they refuse to do themselves. But not anymore. When you stop being their emotional crutch, they're forced to stand, and sometimes falling is the only way they'll ever learn. So let them fall, let them wobble, let them walk alone. You were never heartless. You were healing. You were never cold. You were recovering from being burnt too many times. And now it's your season to rise without guilt. Let go of what you were never meant to carry forever. Let them face what you've carried for years, and watch how your absence forces them to confront the reality they were too comfortable avoiding. You are not a crutch. You are the proof that strength walks away too. Number 9. Regret. Without transformation is just a repeat in disguise. You already know this. Apologies are cheap. Words can sound like healing, but without real change they're nothing more than camouflage, a strategy. And chosen ones like you, you've evolved past the stage where a few sweet lines could undo years of disrespect. They come back with heads low, eyes heavy, voices soft, hoping that regret will look like redemption. But don't be fooled. Regret is not the same as growth. Missing you is not the same as maturing. And returning empty-handed is not the same as being ready. You've seen it before, the cycle, the promise, the honeymoon, and then the slow rot. They haven't rebuilt themselves. They're just circling back, hoping you haven't changed either. But you have. You're not standing in the same spot they left you in. You're not available for replays. This is a different you, upgraded, rewired. Understand this. People regret losing access, not losing you. There's a difference. They don't cry over what they broke. They cry over what they no longer control. Real change is visible. It shows up in behavior, not in polished apologies. It's shown in consistency, not charm. And if their so-called regret isn't backed by evolution, then it's not a new beginning. It's a trap dressed like closure. You weren't made to be a pit stop for people who refuse to take the journey. You're not a soft place to land for those who only want to avoid the hard work of becoming better. You're the mirror. You reflect truth, and some people would rather smash the mirror than face what it shows. So when they come back whispering how much they've missed you, don't just listen to their words. Watch their walk, feel their energy. Ask yourself, do they want to grow with you, or do they just want to stand near your light again? Chosen ones, let this be the standard. If there's no transformation, there's no return. Number 10. Never shrink to fit a space you've outgrown. Chosen one, the moment you start shrinking to keep peace, to stay included, to make others feel comfortable around your power, you've already betrayed your evolution. You didn't survive all that pressure to play small again. You didn't rise from betrayal, manipulation, and isolation just to blend back into the very spaces that once suffocated you. You didn't heal to return to the hands that broke you. Here's the truth. They only tolerated you when you were dimming your light, when you were questioning yourself, when you were easy to manipulate, easy to control, easy to overlook. But now, you've stepped into a version of yourself that no longer fits in the boxes they built for you, and that intimidates them. So now they'll say you've changed. Of course you have. They'll say you're too much. Of course you are. They were never meant to contain you, only to witness you from a distance. You don't belong in rooms where your silence is more welcome than your truth. You don't belong with people who only value you when you're struggling. And you surely don't belong around anyone who feels threatened by your growth. You outgrew the chaos. You outgrew the cycles. You outgrew their version of you. Now they want you back, not because they're ready to grow, but because they want you to shrink again, to fit their comfort, to ease their guilt. But here's what you must understand. Shrinking won't bring peace. It'll bring resentment. And this time, the resentment will be toward yourself. You were chosen to expand, to evolve, to take up space. Your very presence is a wake-up call to everything that pretended to be solid, but was actually built on insecurity. So, don't go back. Not to please anyone, not to be understood, not to be accepted. Let them adjust to your growth, or be left behind by it. You didn't come this far to start folding again. Your new level is not a punishment. It's your proof. Number 11. Your silence isn't a doorway. It's a lock they can't pick. There is something terrifying about silence, especially when it comes from the one they thought would never stop speaking. When you stopped explaining, defending, justifying, something inside them cracked, because they were never afraid of your words. They were afraid of what your silence revealed. Chosen ones, your silence is not confusion, it's clarity. It's the signal that the chapter is closed and the pen is back in your hand. And yet, they still hover outside, knocking like they've earned re-entry. But here's what they fail to grasp. Your silence isn't an open door. It's a sealed vault. And the code? It was written in pain they never cared to understand. They used to count on your reaction. That was their leverage. Your emotions were their playground. If they could trigger you, they could control you. But now, you've gone quiet. And that silence screams a truth they can't unhear. You've outgrown their chaos. This is the moment they realize you were the access point, the warmth, the peace, the elevation they experienced. None of it was theirs. It was yours. And now that you've gone still, they scramble, hoping to decode the silence. But silence isn't a puzzle for them to solve. It's a boundary. And the lock? It's made of everything they overlooked. Your value, your effort, your energy. They call it code. But what it really is protection. Because not everyone deserves to hear your voice, feel your presence, or access your light. Especially not those who weaponized your words in the past. So don't let guilt twist your power into weakness. Don't let nostalgia break your silence. You're not being petty, you're being precise. The version of you who used to over-explain has retired. The one who used to chase is no longer available, and now they're left facing the one reality they never prepared for. There's no password for your peace. So hold the silence, chosen one. Let it echo, let it teach. Let it lock the door they thought they'd always have a key to, and remind them, when a chosen one goes quiet, it's not confusion, it's closure. Number 12. Guard your energy like a fortress. Access is for the worthy only. Chosen one, your presence is not just warm light, it's fire. It heals, it fuels, it awakens, but only in the hands of those who know how to handle it. You've spent too long pouring into the ungrateful, offering loyalty to the inconsistent, and giving chances to people who never even planned to grow. And now the universe is whispering the truth. You were never supposed to be this accessible. You are not a free refill. You are not a public park. You are a fortress. And not everyone deserves the keys. People don't change because they lost you. They panic, they mourn the energy, the protection, the constant emotional support that kept them afloat. They don't miss you because they're better. They miss you because they're empty. And they think proximity equals permission. But here's the line: proximity doesn't guarantee access, especially not anymore. From now on, let your energy cost something. Let your presence require depth. Let your peace demand respect. You didn't go through all that growth just to be a convenience again. Guard your space like a crown sits on your head, not with arrogance, but with knowing, with discernment, with clarity that says, I've learned the hard way what happens when I let the wrong people in. Let them call it ego. Let them say you've changed. Because you have, and you're not apologizing for it. A fortress isn't built to be cruel. It's built to protect what is rare. And you, chosen one, are that rare power. A walking frequency, a pulse that shakes every space you enter. Don't let the wrong hands drain what took you years to reclaim. Let them watch from the gate, but never let them in again. If you're feeling this in your spirit, drop a fortress in the comments. And hit that like and subscribe, because what's coming next is only for those who know how powerful it is to finally guard what's sacred. So as you move forward, let this truth sink in. Not everyone who knocks deserves to be let in. Your energy is no longer free real estate for the careless. You've earned this peace. You've built this strength. And now your access comes with a price: growth, respect, and consistency. Let your silence speak and your boundaries roar. If this message hit home like the video, subscribe to the channel and drop "I am the fortress" in the comments to claim this shift. Because chosen ones, your glow is sacred, and it's time the world started treating it that way.